we have any site or finance committee reports at this time. Moving on to buildings and grounds, alternative school.
One of the things we talked about at the last meeting was we had asked Tom Rim to give us a quote for work on the alternative school, and I shared that information with you at that noon board meeting we had on that Friday in May, and his original quote was $17,745. He actually had a quote for us on 2 different kinds of siding, if I remember right, but the most expensive of those two was $7,745. The other quote was about $400 less than that. And when we talked about it at the last board meeting, we never really made any decisions about what we were going to do. We just wanted to know what that quote would look like currently, how we would handle it if we wanted to advertise for quotes. And these really aren't bids at this point, and that's only because of how the bid and quote law, how it's described in Iowa Code of Schools. Anything under $40,000 for a project in schools, you can actually do what you would like to, from $40,000 to $100,000. You get 2 quotes, not bids, and anything over $100,000 you bid the project. And he did bring a quote back to us, and I'll just make a comment about the advertising. Wallachia Auburn Advertise has kind of talked about a project to renovate the old ag building into the wrestling room and the weightlifting room. And finally the board decided they wanted to advertise and get some quotes. So they advertised in the 3 local papers, the Saxon, the Resort, and the Chronicle, and got 1 quote, and that was Tom, who quoted on that project. So what we found out, because we weren't getting quotes and we started calling contractors, is that everybody's busy. There is a concrete project for some sidewalk work in the Lakeview building, and we did get a couple of quotes for that project. But again, I'm not telling you to use Tom. I'm just saying I'm not sure if that will generate anything else right now, because the contractors had work through the time that we needed them to be at the ag building. So this quote is not quite $2,000 higher than it was when he gave it to us in May of '07. Included in that, though, are 2 additional windows that he hadn't originally included in the quote, because we did go back and take a look to make sure that he included everything we'd asked for. So
I have a couple of comments. I went down to look at that situation, which I had. It's been a long time since I've been in there. It was interesting to me. But when I asked around, they do not have the kind thing to say about that building. And I'm sorry. And then it did smell musty, and sort of like some. But that's because probably lack of use. I don't know. But are we sure that the structure is sound, and it isn't? That's my biggest concern about it.
I wouldn't say we're sure of that.
Huh?
It's just, I wouldn't say we're sure of that. I'd say it's just we kind of put this work off last year because something needs done with the place, and we looked for other ideas or alternative places to put the school, and really never came up with any. So I guess in my opinion, if you don't do something to it pretty soon, it is going to fall in the heat. And I think this would be something that would be, I guess, a good addition to it. I don't know about the musty part. I don't know how that.
let me ask you this question: if we would spend under $20,000, I'm asking somebody who knows about construction. If we would spend under $20,000 to do the renovation that we'd like to have done, in your estimation, is that money?
Well spent.
I'm not trying to put you on.
Right. No, I would say that it's a very
taking into account what you said, Dave,
right.
about.
It's a physically. I mean, it's a pretty big building. So anytime you start, I mean, it's a large structure. So you start doing anything, siding it itself is just, it's going to cost a lot of money, just because it's so big. The one thing that won't be addressed with that is, that I would say that could be an issue later, and maybe sooner than later, would be the roof is not addressed with this issue. And, you know, I don't really know know, well, I tell you what, I never thought of this either. Did we ever turn anything in for a hail claim? Do you have hail insurance? Because there are a whole bunch of people who do roofs.
No, we didn't, I don't think we turned anything in for a
It
claim.
might be something to look at too. I never even thought of that until right now. But that would be the only thing. This is gonna fix it up pretty good, seal it up a little bit better, but the roof would be the big wild card as far as another additional cost to the building. After that, I mean, we have to put some money in the carpet, and did they do any painting last year?
But
So-
there's no basement underneath it. No.
So there's a crawl space on the part of it, I think.
So has someone ever been down there and looked at, so the thing sturdy and stand, because it isn't rotting on the bottom side, is what
I have,
this is a comment that I've gotten from someone from the public, and I said, I don't know. That's what and they said, why are you putting money into that when it has issues? And I, okay, I don't know.
I understand that. I mean, that was my problem with the last year. It's just right now.
What's our option if we don't put
Yeah,
anything into it?
that's the problem.
I mean, that's,
why we put it off kind of a year. like
we looked at
did.
alternatives, I think, before we looked at this, and we didn't come up with anything at that time. I don't know what climate's changed now.
Well, we even talked
but-
about alternatives in buildings that we currently have, but there aren't any of those alternatives either. And frankly, if you talk to the instructor, he really likes the fact that they're off campus. And we like having it in Sac City because Shayla Crestman shares it with us.
Well, we're feeling good, pretty good about that. I guess that's the main concern, but that's what I've heard back.
I don't have an answer for what you're saying, but
It was my concern too. I know exactly what you're thinking, Dave. It's whether or not you put $20,000 into a building that's worth $20,000 right now. I mean, that's really, if you were trying to sell it, I don't know what it would bring. I really don't. Probably. But if you don't do
It's
something.
worth a lot more than that to us though,
Right.
for the usage, because we have no other alternative right now.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I think we talked about, I think it's important that we keep our buildings in good repair, at least the envelope, so everything inside of it don't fall apart, so. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money, but, you know,
we
I
also
think it
talked
needs to
about
be
the fact
spent.
that it was, and I think maybe Doug, I'm not sure if this comment to you, and you tell me if this was true or not, that idea of the facility that those students attend should not be any less well-kept than
Right.
the rest of the facilities that we have. And probably of the places we have students right now, that might be, and it's not awful on the inside. I mean, it's a pleasant building. That last winter, it was cold in there. We talked about windows and.
We have a lot of
lighting and
students that
insulation.
attend that, you know, that building too. I mean, there's, what was his report, what did it say, 50, 60 kids, I don't know. More than I thought did, so.
And again, not at all at one time, but you're right. We could have 40 to 60 different kids attending there, a dozen at a time, at any given time during the day.
I'd turn the roof in. May 6th was the date of the hailstorm.
Okay. Look at that.
I must have been out of town, because I
Was
don't
it
remember it
6:30? 6:30 at night.
It is.
I have 2 new roofs coming.
Did it hail out north town or not? Because I don't remember any hail.
Yeah, it was, I got it in my freezer if you want it.
Well, what's your thoughts?
If someone make a motion then?
If we're gonna do anything, obviously, before this fall, we need to make a decision. If not,
I know materials have gone way up. If the bid only increased by less than $2,000, I think that, I don't think Tom's trying to make any more money. I think he's just trying to cover what money would cost him.
is increased.
Right. So,